Okay, so we got to page Kuf Nun Gimel in the Zohar Kodesh, Kesef HaKavod. We're on number, the left column. It's the begin kach, and for this reason, the should be iron Chamesh Gevuros Haim Rak Gevuros Sharshios. So we talk all the time about the 5 Gevuros. Let me just check and see everything is recording properly. I had a big mess here yesterday. I can't tell. Anyway, do the best I can. Hein rak gevuros sharshios. Asher mechem mispashtem elef va'arba b'meos gevuros. So he had a little generation of how we got that number, I think. Mokein hein mispashtem lalofim v'rivavos gevuros ad ein kate. So they are infinite. There are infinity. So that infinite number of gevuros. The kach causes, therefore it says, Mi yamala gevuros Hashem. Who could speak about the gevuros of Hashem? There's so many of them. Pirush. Mi yuchel the saper, or the spore of the saper. Okay, the daber as called gevuros Hashem. How could speak about all the gevuros? Gevuros rabim him, because there's an awful lot of them. Ve'im bechem cheshbon umisbar, and they have no count, they have no number. V'shoyel ksiv hocho gevuros. So it's written over here. We have the word gevuros. Kikasav kan gevuros beloshen rabim. So it says gevuros. We understand there are more than one. Until it gets to a point where we can't speak to them, speak about them. Written over there, he says, Hashem Hagadula v'Hagavura. So here we go, Gavura again. That's one Gavura. He said, but with Mankom Achar Kasav a Gavura B'Lashon Yachid. The Matfer Sheyesh Ra Gavura Achas, which is really implies that there's only one Gavura. V'im came. So therefore we have Gevuros and we have Gevura. Which is it? This is where we learn this. When you join them all together, then you come there or act like one. Iskri Gevura Chada. Now let's see what he says. He says, when we see that all of them are joined together. Mischadrim ka'achas, they become like one. V'nichlala b'shorsha rishon shehu gevura achas, and they come to the very beginning of them. I guess that's the very first one, which is one gevura. Az kala gevuras nikrachal b'shem gevura achas. Then they're all called by the name of one gevura. V'al ofen zera b'amachakasa gevura b'lashon yachid. So that's why you see it at one time. There is a force, I guess he means, of a gevura. As they all join together, that's Gevura. When they're not joined together, Hagevuros Rabim Haim. So then we see that the Gevuras are great. There's a lot of them. So they have no count. Because now we're talking about Gevuros. Now we talked a little bit about Gevuros. Now we have an idea how many there are. Infinite. But as they start to come down, min hadas v'chametzach, and they come from the upper das and the metzach. Now it sounds like they're falling down the middle line. V'his pashtusam lamata, and they start going downwards. Hu min achaytim shal zir anpin. Where do they start actually going out? From the nose. So Yitzias hagevuras l'chutz k'dei la'asos din ba'olim. So when they go out, and what are they going to do? They're going to bring some punishment into the world. Maska b'tziyasim edachaytim l'chutz. So therefore, we focus on the nose. Va'az nikra charon af. Then it's called anger in the nose. So charon af, really, we use that to mean, extreme anger. Here we actually have two words. Umahai Italian. Minachaytim. Tuluyas mishtalshlo. So they come down, they really hang from the nose. That's where they start, and then they develop downwards. So he says elef, and then he says elef alofim. There's 1,000 thousands. Varva mea ribo, and then you have 1,400. What is it? Arba mea 1,400 ribo 10,000. The call chad minayu. So elef alofim varba bemeils ribo gevuros. That's the count on the number of gevuros. Now this is interesting. Before he said there's no count. Now he says when they come out of the nose, there's a count. He counts them. And he says there's all this, l'kol achas v'achas min chamesh gevuros, there are arba meos ribo gevuros. Ki ha'elef v'arba b'mea gevuros, because we talked about 1,400 gevuros before. Sheyesh b'kol chamesh gevuros, which we have that when all of the 5 gevuros got more la'el. Nechlalim kula b'kol gevura, all of them, all of the 1,400 are in each one of the gevuros. V'harba l'kol gevura min chamesh gevuros. We're talking about the 5 principal. Elef v'arba mea gevuros, you have 1,400. Excuse me, Elef is 1,400. You had 1,400 gevuros. V'ha alef gevuros, so the 1,000 gevuros that we're talking about shall elef arba meo gevuros. Let's take the aleph part of that 1,400. Mis Rabin and Mis Pashtim call achas mechem elef riba gevuros. So each one of the 1,400 gevuros that come out of the nose, they all spread out and they become a lot more. They become 10,000s. Or the elef 1,000 riba gevuros, 1,000 10,000 gevuros. For Arba Meya's gevuros that originally grouped the 400 gevuros, I think he said that the 1,000 spreads like that, and then the 400 spreads gevuros. Misrabim call achad mechem the riba gevuros. They come into each one of them becomes like 10,000 gevuros. Limser sheyesh elef alafim v'arba meya riboy gevuros. So that's how we get to the number of 1,000 thousands and 400 10,000 gevuros. Call achad v'achaz min chamesh gevuros. For each one of the 5 gevuros, that's a big number. V'kulam teluyos, and all of them teluyos b'chaytim. They're all hanging down from the nose. V'fi shehu makom techilas hispashtusa, because this is the place from which they begin to spread. V'v'chai tenanda da'afek b'chotamoi. So b'zeh ha'asha, now the smoke that we're talking about, coming out of the nose of Zeranpin. Ha'ashan hayotzim in the chaytib. So that ashan, it comes out of the nose. Talian teluyas mishtalshalos elef alafe ribo v'arba meyach v'echamechamesh. So you have a tremendous number. Elef alafim, 1,000 thousands, 1,000 10,000s v'arba meyach v'chamesh. And he had another 5. 400, and then he has 5. So he says elef alafim, 1,000 thousands v'arba v'chamesh riboy gevuros. It's a lot of gevuros. This dar gevura do. So they come from this side of the gevura. What does that mean? Shehei mitzad the gevura chazos shalachaytim. So what he wants to say, what? That the nose has 2 sides? The nose have come by gevura ashan. So let me just read that again. This dar gevura do. They come from the side of this gevura. Shehei mitzad the gevura chazos shalachaytim. I'm not sure what he got to there. He says that the star gevura door, they come from this dot, and so okay, so he just hey mitzad the gevura chazos shalachaytim. I'm really concerned about the word sad. Why he said the word side? So he's a v'noisiv kan, and he adds onto this begevuras ashan from the gevuras that come with the smoke. Od chamesh ribo. He adds another 5 10,000s. Why? Connected shorish of gevuros. This corresponds to the shorish, and want to include the shorish of the gevuros. Shehem chamesh gevuros shel he osius mansepach, which is the original 5, which are this mansepach, which I said before is a question for me why he's saying this. Mansepach in other places means sweetened gevuros. So here it doesn't sound so sweet. V'kulchu gevuron. V'kol ribu gevuros chalolo. And so all of this multiplication of gevuros, we're losing you again? We lost him again. Why would that be? Why do we keep losing him? Right. Okay, what's going on here? Gee. Okay. So usually I'm trying to call you back and you're trying to call me back. We get busy. Okay, so we got to this place over here, V'kulhu gevuron. We call Riba Gevuros Chalalu, this tremendous multitude of gevuros. And also let's include those ones that come out from the nose, the gevuros that come out from the nose. Talian, Mahai Chutama, all of these gevuros really depend on the nose. They're coming out from the nose of Zer Anpin, Kulam Toluya Bezecha Vachotisha Zer Anpin. Ki hu hashorsh, the kol gevuros, because Zer Anpin, that is the nose of Zer Anpin, is the root of all of these gevuros, is where they come from. Dechsiv Kamosha Kasu Tehillim, we have this in Tehillim. But Mizmor Tehillah the David, this one, he says, which is Tehillim Kuf Mem Hey. He says, Shuhu HaChoitem HaNikra Tehillah. This is the nose, which is also called by the name prayer. This sounds like Lakuti Maran a little bit. Kamosha and Emar, like it says, the Tehillosi Echtam Lach, my prayer, Tehillosi Echtam Lach, I will nose to you. So what's Pshat? V'Amar Sham, it says over there, Dor L'Dor Yeshavach Ma'asecha, each generation, continuing generation, will praise your deeds, U'Gevurosecha Yegidu, and they will talk about your Gevuros. So Pirusho Ki Min Achoitim, so he says what? From the nose, Nimshach Lamata Riboy Gevuros, comes down a tremendous multitude of Gevuros. Ki Gevurosecha, with that language where it says Gevurosecha, Hu Lashon Rabim, it's in the plural. V'Yegidu, and then you're going to talk about it, Hu Lashon Hamshacha Melamala Lamata. Now that's interesting, but Yegidu I thought was Lashon just talking. So he says this is actually the Lashon of Hamtacha Melamala Lamata, from going from the top place down into, I guess, our world and like that. So he says, V'kad Shar Gevura Da, V'kad Share Gevura Da, when this Gevura begins, this gevura that's coming out of the nose, and it's going to become aroused, and it's going to come out, and it's going to spread downwards. It kindles all of the other gevuros. They start to flame. So then the dinim, the lower dinim. Now, that needs a little explanation what he means, but we understand that it probably comes from us. This is that the dinim that we generate, mizlatim. But it's mashma to me that it's like these are coming down to they're going down on a path. And they go down on the path. Notice the path what? From the nose of Eric Anpen, of Zera Anpen, through Malchus down towards us. He's indicating to me, his words are as Oz kala gevur v'adinim atachtainim. So he means that the dinim are already out there somewhere. It seems like a stira. That in other words, he's running into all the dinim tachtainim, umizlavim be'esh, which are blazing and kindled, made out of fire. So it lights up some the other gevuras which are down below. And I say this seems a little confusing to me. For Shatan, and then what happens is that they're going on and they're lighting up all the other gevuros, and these original ones, I guess, the ones that are coming out of the nose, they start going from each individual gevura that's out there. Now this is interesting, until they get to it goes down to the place where you have this swinging sword. This swing firing sword. Now, what is that's a secret in the Torah. The Torah says that. Here he's going to give us some idea. It's called the kindled or the blazing sword, which keeps turning one way or another. There's a lot of vertlach on this. This refers to all of the places down below. And so the idea is that this is the cherev hamischafeches is the concept, and it's constantly moving back and forth. It goes from din to rachamim. He says from rachamim to din. Machmas avonas atachtoinim. It's because of the sins down below. So therefore, I would say that up above, where he said that it goes down and kindles all these other gevuros, I would say that it's more like better definition for me would be that it kindles all the dinim. Because we're busy making dinim down here in this world, and the gevuras are looking for them, and they're probably in all the other worlds too. They rise up. So he says, the first thing is like this. The gevuras b'malchus don silus. Okay, so we said like that. So Eric Anpes, excuse me. Zer Anpin is the shefa from Zer Anpin flows into Malchus. Now this is a very interesting thing to me. So he says, after Malchus, where's it go? Matat is the Malach of Olam Yetzirah. So he says, and I saw in the Zohar, which we learned last week's Zohar, that Matat is really at the very top of Olam Yetzirah. So I understood from that. Let me see if I can fit that in here. That Matat is really like a refractor. So the Gevuros come in, and when they hit Matat, they start spreading into the rest of Zer Anpin, or the Olam Yetzirah, which is ultimately coming to us. So let's see what he says. V'achakach b'klipas noga. So then after that it goes to Matat, and then after that it goes to the klipa noga, which is partly Tahor. V'achakach b'shar klipos tameos. And then after this is how the flow of dinim goes. They ultimately wind up in the basket, or the womb, so to speak, of the klipas tameos. V'achakach b'olam hazeh. And then ultimately it winds up here in this world. Asher b'sham yotziyasim. Yotzim kochos agavuros, the pull din ba'olam, and that's the actual pattern of how they go out and they start running din into our world. So let me see a little bit more. V'shoa, so he has like this. He named it Sina Bekamba Bekomos, Bekamba Pesukim. We find in many different Pesukim. Hashtachas Sodom, Hashchasas, okay, I got it. Hashchasas Sodom, the destruction of Sodom, V'amora, Hoisa Ayadera B'Shem Havaya was because of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which sounds like a stira, because Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Rachamim. Akshuhu Shem Hamora Al Midas Rachamim, but so we know that it's a name that really refers to Rachmanis. Ksiv Ki Mashchisem Anachto as Ma'amakom Azeh. So here's the word Mashchis, which we had used before as part of what's coming out of these Gevuros. So Hashem sent them out to destroy. So that we said this before, that Yud-Kei Vav-Kei destroyed Sodom v'Esamora. Hashem himter al Sodom v'al Amora. So it's, once again, you have these different places where the word himter, which is, where the word is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. So no matter how you look at it, the name of mercy is put on that, the kasha, so that it becomes a problem. How is it possible? So how could that possibly be? How could you have din carried out by Rachmanis? This is really the way we learn it. There is no judge. What does that mean for evil people? People who do bad. Shema order them as midas of din, that they actually are the ones that arouse the midah of din, because of all of the bad things that they do. But what it's talking about is it switches. As midas arachmim. So what you're doing is you're turning around and switching the midah of rachamim shuhu b'chinas shem havaya shehisnaheg b'midas adin, that starts working like midas adin. Now I didn't really hear this explanation really very well. He says that the kasha is why would Yud-Kei Vav-Kei be associated with the destruction and the carrying out of a din? So he said, looking at the bottom of page Kuf Samach, he says, Lo dayan la rishayim. There's no judge for evil people. So what does that mean? So he said,
it's not enough.
Huh?
Well, the word this word no, it doesn't mean judge. Lo dayan, not only, not enough. Not
Lo
only.
dayan. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, that makes better sense. But let's see, it's still got a problem. Lo dayan, it's not sufficient for the rishayim, right? Not only for the Rishayim, that's sufficient. It's La should die. Very good, thank you. Let me see what I can do. Shema ordered them as midas adin. So we understand the Rishayim awaken the midas adin. Because of their bad things. But they switch. So he's telling us that the pshat over here Ela sha'af hafchim as midas arachimim shuchu b'bechid shem havaya. So what it does, it has the ability, or I guess the bad deeds, to switch rachamim into din. However, we don't have any word for din over there. It could have said Elokim, should have said differently. Okay, but anyway, that's what he says. He says that's to indicate the fact that there's the nose can switch. So he says, how is it that they turn around? What's the mechanism by which they can switch the midah of rachamim to the midah of din? And it's written like this: it was Ani Hashem lo shenisi. Then it says Yud Kei Vav Kei, not it's Lashon Rachamim. He says, I don't change. It's impossible for it to change from Rachamim to din. Yud Kei Vav Kei is Rachamim. It's not that you could take Rachamim. Rachamim is Rachamim, he wants to say. And din is din. It's not like you take Rachamim to din. Ella, but rather, what does it mean? Ella, because Zimna da'atiki. So this is what he wants to go back. He wants to go back at as long as Atik da'atiki, which is Eric Anpin. Reish Chivora, who is the white head. Rabba the Rabbim, the one that really accepts everything, is Galia. When that is revealed, and the ultimate exception, and I guess it means and forgiving, and all the other things that go that way, Elisha calls the mansha Rosh Halavanon. That's what he says, as long as this white head, which is because of Rosh Halavanon, Halavan, I read, Halavan, yeah, that's all, not Lebanon. Halavan Shuhu Hagulgalis v'hakaser, which means the very top of the head of Eric Anpin, Shel Eric Anpin. Moving on, let's move on a little bit more. Hanikra Atek Da'atiki, that Eric Anpin is also called by this name, Atek Da'atiki. Is a megala as a metzak shalo hanikra ratzon aratzodos, which is called the acceptor of the ultimate exception. I got this wrong word. Acceptance, the ultimate acceptance. Rachmim, Ravravim, Ishtakacho Bakula. Then you see that there's a tremendous, when that light of the head of Eric Anpin is now revealed and shining. The Nimsoim Az Rachamim Agadolim Shal Eric Anpin. So that's when you find the Rachamim of Eric Anpin. Bakala Tachtainim, that really comes to all of the lower worlds. Vaznim takim kol dinim akashim. So then what happens is all the difficult dinim that are out there. Shal choitim zer anpin. So what was the word? Vaznim takim. They become sweetened. Kol dinim akashim shal choitim zer anpin. V'shatadado is galia, and at the time when they're not revealed. So when we are not doing the will of the omnipresent one. So this is really what the mechanism is. The mechanism is like, I'm looking at it like this. It's just that, let's say there's a door that's closed or a door that's open. So if the door is open, so to speak, and the light is pouring through from Eric Anpin, then it's being recepted and you have a Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ofen Megala as a Metzak Shalo, so he reveals his forehead, which is the source of all of this whiteness. The hoyer b'zer anpin, or to shine into zer anpin, v'lahamtik as adinim shebesochim shebechaytim, in order to sweeten up the dinim that are in his nose. Called dinin de zer anpin zminin. Oz called adinim shel chotim zer anpin, and what happens then when it's not shining? All the dinim that are found in the nose of zer anpin muchanim v'zumanim depol din ba'oil, and they're ready. They're ready to go out and do their thing. And that's like when the sun shines, great. When it's not shining, though, it's dark. And that's when the dinim come out. That's a nice metaphor, I think. So what happens is that Rachmanis, it switches. And then it's considered, as you might think, you might say, and then it looks like the meat of Rachamim, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei or Zer Anpin, is going to actually change, but it's not. It's actually the difference in what's happening down below and bringing up our prayers up to the higher place, which brings down Shefa of Bracha, which opens up everything, and you have Rachmanis. Hahu Atika Dekulo. So this almost ancient one, V'afilu Erik Anpin, Hanikra Atik Mikol Atikim, who is called the ancient of the ancient ones, which is Lashon Kodim. Shuhu Kula Yamin Ve'ein Bo Rak Midas Rachamim, because he's completely and totally right, and he has Ve'ein Bo Rak, he has only Midas Rachamim, because Zois. But with all this, because Zois, Hareza Nechshav Ge'ilu Hu Oisu Poil Adinim, it's as if he himself did and carried out the dinim. Mekaven Sha'al Yadei She'erik Anpin Master Es Or HaMetzach Shalo, so since he's hiding, the door is closed, and he's hiding the whiteness that comes from his forehead, Mizgavros Hadinim, this cause automatically, it's like causing darkness in Zer Anpin. The Mizgavrim Hadinim Shal Chaytim Zer Anpin, then they become more and more powerful, the nose of Zer Anpin, the dinim that are in his nose, because previously the white would shine on him, and it would sweeten up everything that was everywhere, and it would probably sweeten it, and it would sweeten the nose as well. But now it's closed. Tapulim din ba'olim, and it causes din in the world. Nimsa she'erik anpin, hu hagoram the pulas hadinim. That if you want to know where the din actually starts, it starts by erik anpin. So it's not that he's bringing dinim, it's just that he's clothing his acceptance and his niceness. So therefore, we relate to Erik Anpin, the action that actually brings out dinim into the world. Alva be'emes, but the truth is not like that. Alva be'emes, ein be'erik Anpin shum dinim klal, he has no dinim with him at all. Well, we understand that about Erik Anpin. V'chas v'shalom. As midas arachim the midas adin, and this is where we hear over here that the Rishoyim cause things to change from midas adin to midas arachim. So dahainu shemahafkim as midas arachim shall erik anpin. So what it turns around is the midas arachim of erik anpin shalo toyer bezer anpin, that it should shine into zer anpin. Umamela. Yipa'alo azadinim shall zer anpin, and then you see the action that's taking place, that knows, which is ready to go and destroy. So chabiki zer anpin atmo kolo b'midas arachim and midas adin, because zer anpin himself has two different sides. One side, I don't know if it's sides, but he has two different midos. One is din, one's rachamim. Because aim meir haaras erik anpin b'zer anpin, and when they don't shine into erik anpin, into zer anpin, when those lights, that metzach of Erik Anpin is not shining, az poil rak bo rak midas adin, then what all that happens here then is you have the midas adin being aroused, shall zer anpin, because by itself it's always what he's saying to me is that by itself it's already ready, it's always ready to work in. That's the nature of what's inside the nose, but it doesn't do that as long as it's what lost him again. Whoa. Okay, I lost you again. I don't know what's going on here. All right, let's see. Where were you? Where did I lose you? Are you on page Kuf Samach Dalet?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you? I just up at the top of the page. So let's just go like, huh?
Yeah.
I said the high note. That is the same. Shemahafchim es midas arachim shall erik anpin shalo toyer b'zer anpin. That's really what this means. If erik anpin should shine in zer anpin, everything's great. But if it's not, it's dark. Umamela yupolo al zadinim shall zer anpin, and then you see that there are dinim in zer anpin, and they take charge because the dark side goes with the punishment. Zer anpin atzmo kolo b'midas arachim b'midas adin, because he has a right side and a left side. That's the interesting thing about zer anpin. Meir ha'aras erik anpin b'zer anpin, and when there's no shining that's coming from erik anpin into zer anpin, as poil bo rak midas adin, then there's only midas adin. In other words, he says it makes it sound like in the nose of zer anpin is really sitting and waiting for this. The only thing that is the punishment. The only thing that keeps that from happening is the fact that this whiteness keeps pouring onto zer anpin. So rak midas adin shall zer anpin. Avaho be'ein midas arachmim atzma afilu shall zer anpin po'elis adinim. The midas arachmim b'zer anpin doesn't do dinim. So it's only the lack of sweetening that allows this to take place. So we see, if we look at it, that there is no real din in the midah of rachamim itself. It never changes. It's just a question of whether or not the door is open, so to speak. So therefore, this change that we now see in Zer Anpin, that it's not working. The midah of rachamim is not working in Zer Anpin. Only the working of the midas adin. It doesn't mean that Zer Anpin changed its nature. But what we're doing down here causes bad things all up and down the line. As I was pointing out previously, when he says the dinim of the tachtonim, he really means that we're sending dinim towards Zer Anpin. And that's what happens. Shegormim ayedech v'nesechem shezer anpin yastir as midas arachamim. So you will see that Zer Anpin there is changing. Yastir, he hides. That's what it is, as midas arachamim shelo yashpia rachamim la'olam. So he should not send rachamim into the world. Avacha b'Zer Anpin atzmo mitzad atzmo. If you look at Zer Anpin himself, rotza lahashpia b'kol eis rachamim la'olam. Okay, so this is as far as I pre-lane. Let's see what I can do with the rest of it. At the Desani, we learn like this in the Brisa. Kad izgal yaratika datika Rabbah the Ravim. When there was a revelation, kisha Eric Anpin anikra atika datikim, and how many times does he need to tell us this? There has to be a reason for it, but we keep have this saying that atika datikim. We want to say it's atik yamim, and then a lot of times he uses the word atik yamim to refer to same thing. So as Atikat Atikim, Megalach as a Metzach Shalo, when he reveals his Metzach, Ratzon HaRatzonos, the ultimate acceptor. Kulhu Botzidim, the Iskarun B'Shma Da Nehirim. So all of the torches, all of the lamps, the flames, I don't know if it's flames, the Iskarun B'Shma Da Nehirim, so all of the light, I guess he means it kindles the light. Az Meirim Kol HaNeros, all of the lamps, Shehim HaSfira Shal Erik Anpin. So when the Metzach of Erik Anpin is revealed, then it means that all of the attributes of Erik Anpin are engaged. Hanikroim B'Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now let me see 1 second. Az Meirim Kol HaNeros Shehim HaSfira Shal Zer Anpin. Hanikroim B'Shem Havaya. So he says the spheres of Zer Anpin are called by the name of Havaya Shuhu Midas Arachamim, which is Midas Arachamim. So normally when we say that Yud Kei Vav Kei refers to Zer Anpin, here we see the origin really is in Kesser, that it's actually really a symbol of that. Let's say V'rach Mechem B'Shtakachu B'Kulo, and then there's Rachmanis every place. Nimsaim Rachmem Gam B'Zer Anpin B'Kol Tachtainim. V'Shanta D'Lo Yisgalech Temirim D'Temirim, and when this hiddenness is not revealed, V'Shah She'erik Anpin Anikra Temirim D'Temirim. Eina Megala as Ha'aras Amatzach Shalo. So when there is no revelation of his forehead. Velo is naro elim butzinim, and these lamps, these torches, which are shining these tremendous light, oz ein asfira shal Erik Anpin meirin l'tachtonim, so they don't shine downwards. Misarich and dinim, and instead in the darkness it arouses dinim. Va'oz misareves adinim shal Zer Anpin, vis avid dina, and he actually carries out these dinim. So then that's what he meant down below, the dinim. I think you could say this in another way too. You could look at it in terms of oivi. So you could see that these things are all lined up. Actually, the same parts of just duplicated further away from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. But actually, all of them have the same attributes because there's an Erik Anpin in each olam. So what happens at the Erik Anpin of Itzilus affects the Erik Anpin of Bria and Yitzira and Asiya. So if it's dark, then those worlds are dark too. Because of all of the different agents of din that are around. Ma garin lahai dinah. So what actually causes the din to come out? V'nimsaki garim ledin, the din who that we say was causing this din. Rabbah the lo isgali. It's because that ultimate lover, the one that really loves us and accepts us, he's not revealing himself. Ratzon of Ritzonos shall Erik Anpin Shalom Nizgala Lahoyer B'Tachtonim, that they're not revealed they're not down below and revealed to the lower worlds. Of again, Kachan, for this reason, Mahafkin Chayavaya Rachamei Din. So that means that people who are doing bad things can actually switch things around. The Lakach Nechshav Ke'ilah HaRishoyim Chafku as Midas HaRachamim Shal Erik Anpin Lemidas Adin. So it's as if they actually have changed Zera Anpin from Rachamim to Zin, to Din. And besides that, because everything else is hidden, everything else is closed up, and all you have is Din. And besides Zechem Isyaches Tadin Erik Anpin, and this is how you say that there is a relationship between this Din and Erik Anpin, Av She'ein Be'erik Anpin Shum Dinim Chas V'Sholem, even though we understand. So maybe we could do just as one more. Amada Omer Hocho, so what says over here, Ma'asha Omer Khan, a pasuk, Be'inyin Hashchasas of Sreifas Sidon V'Amora, so he didn't forget that idea. Gofris V'Eish, so he says, what is it, sulfur and fire. Me'ez Hashem min Hashemayim, it comes from Hashem from the Ma'im. Hinei Shem Chavaya HaNizkar Khan, so we have this name Yud Kei. There it says the name, right? That was our kasha. In the Farsha al Erik Anpin, don't try to put that name on Erik Anpin, which is really the source of that name Yud Kei Vavkei. But Zer Anpin Itmar, it's talking about Zer Anpin. Ella Hu Ne'emer al Zer Anpin, Umashva Dechsev, and you can understand from this pasuk. Min Hashemayim Eish Umayim. So he said, from the heaven you have fire and you have water. Rachamim Bedina. Eish is din. Mayim is chesed. So, and who's the Shemayim? That's Zeranpen. So as we understand, as the pasuk continues on, Min HaShemayim Shku Kinui Zeranpen, which is really another name for Zeranpen. V'lo Erik Anpin is not talking about Erik Anpin. It's never called Shemayim. Ki Mila Shemayim Notrikom Eshumayim. So you actually could put that in there. You could see the word Eshumayim in the word Shemayim. I don't see the word Eish in there, but you got a shin. Who remez the Zer Anpin. It's a Eshumayim is the concept of Zer Anpin, who has two lines, a white line and a red line. A kolom midas rachamim, a medenu rachamim, who has both. The Hailo Bechinas Eish HaNirmaz B'Dinim B'Gevuro, so you have this fire, refers to the Dinim, Bechinas Mayim, Aromas the Rachmim B'Chasadim, it refers to the other side, the nice side. L'Afka Man Deleis Be Dinaklau. Let's exclude that man, the Lekach Omer HaKosov, Min HaShemayim, it says Min HaShemayim. The Vayar Ki Ma Sha'ama Gofris Ve'esh Me'ez Yud Kei Vavke, where he says that the sulfur and the fire comes out from Yud Kei Vavke. Ein HaKavana the Erik Anpin. Here we're not talking about Erik Anpin, please. Shahar Be'erik Anpin Aim Sham Dinim Klal. There are no din. You're not going to get Eish and Gofris from that. Idra Rabbah, who mamtik u'mabatel as a dinim ha'elav, what he does is he sweetens and he eliminates these dinim ha'elav shal chaytim zer anpin, of the nose and zer anpin, Allah ha'govana the zer anpin. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about zer anpin. Ha'nikra shemayim shekola din v'rachamim. He's called shemayim because he has within him the two Zindin and Rachamim, behind the Shaha'esh, V'Gofris, he mitzad the din, a kola b'zer anpin. That's from the side of Zindin in zer anpin. The Masha Amara b'techilas ha'pasuk, or what it says in the beginning of the pasuk, V'chavaya himtir al zedon, V'alamora Gofris V'esh. So he says, well, that's the stira. What's Havaya doing in that pasuk? Hine Hashem Havaya Chazeh, who Erik Anpin. That is, that Havaya is Erik Anpin. V'kavana is a pasuk who, and so what the kavana is? Ki Erik Anpin Lahamtir Eish V'Gofris. It doesn't mean that he's bringing the Eish and Gofris. It's because of the darkness that comes as a result of him hiding himself. Me'ez Havaya Min HaShemayim, and it also ultimately comes from the Yud Kei Vavkei, comes from the heaven, Ayidei Zer Anpin, and that ultimately winds up in Zer Anpin. Ki Erik Anpin hister as ha'araso min Zer Anpin, when he hides his illumination from Zer Anpin. So there we see that the midas adin is Zer Anpin. Yamtir Eish V'Gofris al Sidon B'Amora. He causes to bring down and to rain down this Eish V'Gofris on Sidon B'Amora. V'Ka'amor La'el Shemitzad Gromo. But when you talk about what the cause is, those Misyachas P'ula Gam the Erik Anpin, we can understand that it also refers to what happens in Erik Anpin as a result of his hiding himself. And that's the shir for today. Thank you very much for learning with me. I'm sorry, was that? Okay, I guess he said I'm seeing you. We'll see you later.